Hey y'all, hey, welcome to another episode of Mix and Kiki. I have my dear, gorgeously handsome friend, Ali. Well, I know him as Ali, but the world knows him as this beautiful collective that you started in 2001. It's like an anchor in the creative community, I say, because you've collaborated with so many people through this platform that you started, which is called Assume Vivid Astro Focus.
Hey,
Yay! Yes.
hi April.
Hi, Ellie. How are you?
Very good. Yeah, I mean, better now, I guess, since I
Yeah,
came back to my studio. Because I mean, the last 5 months were quite harsh here
yeah.
in Brazil. I'm in São Paulo, and I guess you've been following what's happening here. It's insane. I mean, it's what you're going through times 10, I guess.
Yeah. I
You know,
think our stories, like our countries, it's like the stories are paralleling each
yeah.
other, like
The friends too. So I think they mirror each other, in their positioning about a lot of things.
yeah.
And who knows, there might be someone else behind them both.
I mean, listen, I would not be surprised. Not to get all into like conspiracy
I
theories.
would not surprised. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, it was really harsh, but we had to deal not only with the pandemic, a government which was not dealing at all with how serious it is. We haven't had a health minister for like over 2 months now. And both ministers of health that we had before left because they were in disagreement with the government, with the president. So and not only that, besides the whole pandemic not having any support, and of course like such like a genocidal sort of policy, because of course the people who are hit the most are people in disenfranchised communities.
Hmm.
People who don't have access to like private hospitals, who lives like in like in poor neighborhoods. Those are the people who are suffering, who are dying. you know and this government simply doesn't care about it, because these
Right.
people are not the big companies, who support him financially. So it's awful. So not only that, we also had a lot of threats coming from him and his most radical supporters of like a coup, of doing like some sort of a military coup.
Mm.
So those two things combined were awful. I
Yeah.
mean, it was so depressing. There was so much pressure, emotional pressure all the time. It was really hard to handle. I also had like personal losses that were hard to handle in this time. So, I mean, my father-in-law was really sick for a while. In the past 6 months, it got really worse. He's battling Alzheimer for like 5 years.
Oh my
In the
God.
past 5 months, he just language. Like it was horrible. Like he stopped like swallowing. He stopped like he couldn't walk. He couldn't do anything. And he ended up like passing like a month ago, more or less. So since his passing, I relaxed a little bit because I had to see him. I had to go and visit him. Because I mean, and his wife as well. So we could not risk exposing them to anything. So,
Great.
so since he passed, I started coming to my studio, twice, 3 times a week, you know, and that, I mean, it's a big blessing because I love the space. I love the light here. I love my plants, which we're gonna
Yeah.
see.
You have a beautiful studio space. It seems
I
like
love the birds. I mean, I wish I could switch the view because there's a parrot like right
you're gonna show us your parent, like
outside the
as we
window.
move along. No, I
You know,
mean that's really heavy stuff. I mean, just everything that's been happening globally in our world, personally, like micro and macro. It's just all
yeah.
happening kind of at once, and it's a lot to bear.
Yeah, it was a lot of pressure. I mean, it's hard to not see your friends as well. That was a really big toll on me. I mean, it was really hardcore. I mean, I love my husband, and it's amazing. It was so amazing to have somebody next to you who you share your emotions, your difficulties, and everything that you're going through. But I miss my friends a lot. My friends are my family, you know. My family nowadays is just me and my mom. My mom she doesn't live in São Paulo, she lives in Rio. So I haven't seen her since like last year. So I haven't seen her for almost like a year, you know.
Right.
And so it's just me, my mom, family, real family, let's say. But like my family is like my friends, you know. And I'm not so much into the digital emotional contact. I really have a hard time with that. You know, I really like to see the person in person, you know, like, and exchange smiles and dance together or whatever. I think it's really hardcore for me to permeate all your emotional contact with your friends through the computer. That's really not satisfying for me.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of that too.
I can definitely empathize, which is why even having this platform, even doing this, what I'm doing with you right now, I mean, this is outside of my comfort zone, you know, but I think what I've been pushed to do just through, you know, this pandemic, just through just really immense, tragic, heavy shit that's happening in our world. For me personally, it's just pushed me to just connect with people in a different way. And the virtual space, it is a tricky space to connect. But I've been able to find like a replenishment somehow, just even in this. I mean, really by way of this, by way of these experiences, I've been able to just, I don't know, like just nurture myself.
Open way too. I mean, which I think you're great to do this. You know, like I really appreciate it. You know, I've watched a few other ones of your mixtapes, and it's incredible how you feel close to all this people that you know that I don't know them. You know, I know you, but I don't know your friends. And I love your talks. You know, they just felt like so warming and honest and sincere.
Oh, that's great. Okay, I did not pay Ellie to say all these loving things. Wait, no. But no, I mean, yeah, it's not even like it's not even about advertising. It's just it really is a connection, and I couldn't agree with you more. Like as someone who was never on social media, like someone who just does not connection was not that way for me. But this is. I've almost been forced to connect with people. I mean, I guess we all have been forced to connect with people by way of like technology, but I feel what has saved me is like getting as creative as possible with what that connection looks like. I mean, look how creative you are. You are like living in creativity, and it's just like the people who are watching this now, they're gonna just see that beauty that's just sort of emitting from your screen. It's amazing kind of like what your mind can just sort of like transplant you into the space that you're seeing right now. And I feel like I'm in your space with you right now. Yeah.
I mean, before like 2 weeks ago, I was working from home and I was overwhelmed. You know, I was really overwhelmed at home because I was like cooking every day because my husband, he's been working, like he just transferred his office to our house, you know, so he's like been working daily the whole same hours and everything, you know, earning less money because the government allowed all the companies to cut all wages like 30%, so like everybody's like getting 30% less money, but he's working the same amount or even more, you know, because people work a lot to WhatsApp here, so people are like reaching you for work every like 24 hours.
Yeah.
That drives me crazy.
Isn't that so crazy? I just feel like people are overcompensating. I don't know. It's so funny because I feel like people like us, we've always been working from home in a sense, you know? So when you're used to it, it's just like that different dynamic. But for folks who haven't been working from home, right? I think for their bosses, so to speak, there's this culture of feeling like you need to kind of be breathing down someone's neck for them to actually accomplish things. And that's like beyond the truth. It's just like every time you have like a Zoom meeting, that's just time that you can't get back to work on what you actually are meant to work
All
on.
I need is an email, and a few email exchange, and that's it for me. People really want to connect. I mean, Brazil is like a nightmare because people here use WhatsApp for work all the time.
Oof. Oh yeah.
The last election, the same way the 2016 election in the US, you had all this, fake news going through like Facebook, whatever. Here it happened through WhatsApp. So people were getting all these messages on their cell phones,
Wow.
with like fake news about the left wing, people that were running for president. So that was like awful because it felt even more intimate, like an invasion, actually, because it's your cell phone. I don't carry my computer everywhere, I don't open my computer all the time, but the cell phone, I'm looking at it quite often.
Yeah.
So people get like messages regarding the elections, like 100% of the time, with fake news. So it was awful, 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 awful. Not only that, people also work a lot through WhatsApp here. So you get messages, people wanting to reach all the time, It's a bit too much, I was reading. There's this thing that Anne Magnuson, who she is, this performer.
Who's that?
Anne Magnuson. It's a
Oh
performer.
yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Was from, I think she is from the West Coast, but she lived in New York in the 80s and 70s, I guess.
Right, like her, like that downtown art scene, like friends with like Basquiat, and yeah.
And she moved back. I mean, she's in California right now.
Right.
She's the same sort of generation, same scene as Keith Haring, Kenny Sharp. They had like that Club 57
Yes.
Downtown, like on St. Mark's Place. So she wrote this thing about New York in the 80s, which I think is amazing. If I had it here easy, I would love to say to you. But one thing she says is like the time before cell phones, before answering machines, people were connecting, you falling in love all the time, nothing was intermediated by something else, you had like, connections were done face to face,
Yeah.
So that for me, that's something, I don't know, I lived that somehow in the 80s. I was young. I was a teenager. I'm 52 nowadays.
What?
So in the 80s, I'm 52.
Did you hear what he just said? Does he look like he's 52? Okay, go ahead.
So in the 80s, like 86, I was, 84, 86, I was clubbing, but I was young, And so I experienced some of that. I remember not having an answering machine. I remember my mom writing down messages for me on a piece of paper, And I remember like making plans to meet some friends of mine, and then they were late and I just had to wait. I couldn't call them.
Can you imagine that now? That is probably like the most terrifying thing that could happen.
But you trust people, you just trust people.
You just trust. And it's funny, like, I don't know, yeah. I feel like our trust is definitely being put to the test now.
Mm-hmm.
But then on the flip side, I don't know, we're just having, again, to just get as creative as we can to connect in these spaces, to put soul, it's like how do you put soul into this virtual connection?
Totally.
And
so I feel more comfortable now.
Huh?
I feel more comfortable now that I'm back at the studio. That I'm detached from the house, because I really separate both environments. My house is also sort of like this, but like with a couch, a bed. But I can't. It's very hard for me to work from home.
Yeah.
Space,
You need like preparation. That makes sense.
So
What I was gonna say, the way you put soul into these connections is you mix up a cocktail.
Oh yeah, let's do that. So I'm gonna show the ingredients. So I'm making a caipirinha. It's a typical Brazilian drink everybody knows nowadays.
Yeah.
I used to love caipirinhas. I used to drink them all the time, and I don't nowadays. So I thought it was really cool when you make caipirinhas. I said, wow, that's gonna be like going back to the past.
Oh my gosh, you're like, April, that's so like 1998. That's so funny.
That's not.
I used
Fine. Delicious anyway. I'm not just so much into like sweet drinks nowadays, you know.
Right. I feel you. I went through like a whole Scotch phase where I was just drinking Scotch straight up. And
I,
then I don't know, like I just started getting back into like frozen cocktails, like like tiki drinks,
like,
tiki drinks. Yeah. So I've come back full circle, and now I'm just drinking sugar.
well, the thing is, during this quarantine too, I usually avoid sugar, but I mean, I that got completely screwed up, and I fuck it.
I
I
think
just
a
want to eat
lot of people have been trying to rebuke sugar, but I mean, you can only win but so much. You
exactly.
gotta live. You gotta have your treats. You gotta.
So today I'm gonna make jabuticaba and clove lime caipirinha with
Wait,
basil.
say that first word. That's a berry, right?
That's it is. It's not really a berry. I
Okay.
think. I guess it could be. It's not in the family, the berry family.
Okay.
It looks like a berry. It's like this beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
It's very
They look
lush.
so plump.
Yeah, it looks like a plum.
They're
You know,
really juicy. Like they're, yeah,
very
they're
juicy,
big.
white inside. So it's black skin and white inside, and it's super super sweet. And so it's actually buticaba, and it's a Brazilian fruit that grows out of the trunk of this amazing tree. So it's
Oh,
beautiful because it has a trunk
on
full
the
of like,
trunk, you said.
grows
Wow,
out of the trunk. So you have all these black, berries, let's say, growing out of the trunk. It's
that's
beautiful.
wild.
And then I'm not sure if this is Brazilian, but this is like we call it here clove lime. So it's like this orange lime, sweeter than regular lime,
Oh,
but
I've never seen an orange line in my life.
limão cravo in Portuguese is jabuticaba. And I also am gonna mix basil in this caipirinha.
Ooh, yes. Look at you. You better be a mixologist.
With that, I mean, besides the fruit, you also need cachaça.
Yes. Okay, no, don't show the brand though. They're not giving us
Oh
free.
yeah, cachaça. Which is like a sugarcane alcohol. You guys know it, like it's popular in the States. And then also, I'm gonna use brown sugar.
Yeah.
Usually,
Yeah, like a total amount of sugar. Yeah.
I mean, usually use white sugar, but I'm gonna use
Oh,
brown.
really? Oh, okay.
So what do? I'm gonna use a really large glass.
Yes.
Like to
Listen,
celebrate this moment with you, and wish you were here so could
I know. Well, while you're doing that, mine is what I'm doing watermelon. So I have a watermelon puree. You guys, I have this watermelon puree, and I mixed it with a lot. I don't know, I'm on this like sweet cake. So I put a lot of like, yeah, like brown or raw. I did sugar in the raw and I just like made it into kind of like a syrup. And then I have my little lime here that I'm gonna squeeze with my ice cube in here. And then I have cachaça, the brand will remain nameless. And then, yeah.
So I'm gonna start.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna place the very first thing you do is like place the jabuticabas. Jabuticaba is Jabuticaba.
Okay. I'll have to spell it out.
Tupi word. Tupi is one of the many languages from indigenous people in Brazil. Like, and the biggest indigenous community in Brazil, which was pretty much just decimated. So,
What
and a lot of words
the name? Do you know the name of the group, Ellie?
Yeah, Tupi. Tupi Guarani is the name of the indigenous community. Tupi is the language. The different communities, the different indigenous communities in Brazil, and tons of different languages. This is one of this used to be the largest one. When the Portuguese people arrived here.
Yeah.
So we use a lot of their words in our language in Portuguese, Brazilian. Jabuticaba is a word that comes from the Tupi Guarani people. So I'm gonna place a few of the jabuticabas here.
Mix mine up too. In my black is beautiful mug.
Forget how we call that in English.
What is that? Oh, it's like a mortar for like a mortar and pestle. Yes, pestle.
So you press the jabuticaba, the mortar, so you extract the juice. It becomes like sort of pinkish. You mix,
Oh,
like
wow. Wait, it's pink because of the flesh, or it's pink because it's
right. When you bite one, so you can see it. See?
Oh wow, what an interesting looking fruit, huh?
So good.
It looks good. I'm jealous. Like I want some of
Sort
that.
of like, it's a bit alcoholic. You know. Oh look, the parrots are here again.
You said parrots?
Yeah. I leave nectar for them, like liquid nectar, so they come.
So you guys, Ellie had showed me a picture of a parrot, or no, maybe it was a video. Was it a video of a parrot that you showed?
Yeah, it was a video, I think. Yeah.
Video. You know what? In my mind, I was like, oh, he has a pet parrot, but of course, it's like you don't need to have a pet parrot. You live in Sao Paulo. They're just chilling outside of your window.
So many birds.
That's so crazy. I love that.
They just live, on the streets, and they come and visit me every day. That's what.
So,
At my house, I leave the nectar, the liquid nectar, and I also leave sunflower seeds and also bananas. So it attracts birds. Hummingbirds also come. It was just here like a few minutes ago.
What? Okay,
Yeah.
so I need to get some tips.
Sao Paulo is very urban. It's crazy. It's like this concrete, jungle. And you still have so many birds.
That's beautiful. Do you feel like they must be coming, I see this in New York here. I have never seen so many birds as birds that I'm seeing, just over the past month. Yeah, it's because I just think nature is just like, okay, now that everyone is kind of out the way and these streets are clear, we're coming back out. We're reclaiming the streets.
So I'm going to slice the lime, the clove lime, so you can see how orange it is inside.
Oh, wow. I would never, it looks like a tangerine.
I know, right? It's not. So, I'm going to actually put sugar first. So I'm going to put a little bit. It really depends on people's taste. I usually don't even put any. But it's sort of good to, to make the base of it.
Yeah. The chocolate is pretty strong, so.
I'm gonna squeeze a little bit more here. So
I love how violet it is. It's such a pretty color.
Because I guess the skin looks really dark, but it might be purple.
Yeah, that's probably.
It's black from what I can see here. But there's some purple tint to it inside, actually.
Yeah.
So,
beautiful.
So, I'm gonna put the lime. There's no really big mystery. It's the easiest drink ever. Just have to, put everything together, mix with sugar, put the ketchup. That's it.
That's why I suggested it. I don't get complicated.
Really, not really difficult.
Yes.
A little more lime.
So okay, so as you're mixing, Ellie, I'm going to ask you about just how you have felt inspired, how have you pulled inspiration or just the drive to stay creative during these crazy wild times?
I had a really hard time. It was not easy. It was not easy. I could not, because I was feeling really overwhelmed with being at home and the news were this, it was like a daily apocalypse here, every single day there were horrible news about the government, and the government, the president saying horrible things, and then I just got stuck to it, I was feeling really pressured, and I tried to be creative, but I couldn't. I really couldn't. I just blocked myself. And also I wasn't making any money either. I was like so worried about, like I was lucky that I sold one painting in February, and this money actually paid my bills up till this past month.
Yeah.
And I was like freaking out. I said, shit, what's gonna happen to me? I mean, I don't have any income. I don't have any, I don't have, I don't have any money coming from my parents or anybody. My mom, poor thing, she has her own pension. I can't get any money from her. I don't have any support from anyone else. My husband also gets some money, but it's not enough. So it was hard. It was really hard. It was a lot of pressure. Emotional pressure was terrifying. And I also had this thing, with oh, actually, I forgot to do what. Put the cachaça in it. And also the thing, my stepfather, my father-in-law's situation, his health situation was also bringing me down a lot.
Yeah,
So not easy. It was not. I wasn't feeling creative at all.
Yeah.
It was like
sometimes you gotta give yourself that grace.
Yeah, I mean, also what happened was actually I also sort of detached of the pressure of feeling creative. Okay, I'm just gonna, take care of my plants because I have a garden in my house.
Yeah.
But I have a very narrow but long balcony.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I fill it up with plants because I want the birds to come.
Yeah.
So I actually dedicated myself a lot to the plants.
Good.
To my little forest. I mean, that was the creativity was focusing on that.
Yeah.
So that was the most important thing.
You know what? I mean, that's a very common theme. I mean, the conversations that I've had with like other friends on Mixing Kiki and outside of Mixing Kiki, everyone's talking about plants and birds. Everyone's seeing a bird. Like we just got like a birdhouse. So when you're talking about sunflower seeds, I'm like over here taking notes because I want to make sure the birds come and eat. I was trying to grow herbs up in this Harlem apartment, but there's not enough light. We don't get enough light for those plants really to thrive. So I've just, resorted to just having cut flowers, which I have here. Yeah, but it's so important, and I just think nature. I mean, not to sound all granola and crunchy, but I feel like nature, it offers you such a broader perspective.
It does. I mean, that's the key for us to have a different connection with this world. Because I mean, actually, I've been studying botany actually for like a few years.
You studied botany? Is that what you said?
I mean, it's like a private course, it's not like.
Who are you?
Because I mean, I'm gonna put the basil down. Because I mean, there is like this sort of like wordless connection with plants. Once you start taking care of them, you see they respond to you.
Yeah.
And like this, it's very sort of like new agey, whatever. But like, I talk to plants mentally. I look at them and I take care of them. I see if they have any disease. I try to see what they need. So it's when you pay attention in a different level to another living being, which is not communicating to you through the usual ways. It's not looking at you. It's not talking to you. It doesn't have eyes. Doesn't have mouth. It doesn't speak. You establish a different sort of emotional connection, which is also so true. And you really have to start understanding how they work. They're like this amazing. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't because of all plants.
It's energy, like what you just described is like an energetic sort of exchange that you have with the plants. And you know what? Don't be afraid to get new agey here. I'm all
I
Yeah,
know.
no, you know, so have you seen Ellie? I'm sure you've seen this before, and it's so funny because I just downloaded the soundtrack for this documentary. Have you seen The Secret Life of Plants?
Of course.
Of
Amazing.
course, amazing. So you guys, so for anyone who's never heard of The Secret Life of Plants, it's this documentary from the 70s that Stevie Wonder. Oh yeah, so cheers, cheers. Wait, it's Saoji, right?
Oh,
Saoji,
yes, I would.
Saoji, yeah.
That would
Oh my god, this is so good. Yes.
good. Wow.
Okay.
I think you turned me back into
Oh. um, but right, yeah. So Secret Life of Plants is a documentary from the 70s that Stevie Wonder did this genius soundtrack for. It was so brilliant. It was just like Stevie, it was almost like he went inside like the mind, so to speak, of a plant. And like a lot of his songs are kind of like told from the perspective of the plant in a sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because that actually resonates a lot with this. I've been reading some books by Stefano Mancuso. He's like this Italian plant scientist. I forgot the actual word for that. Botanist.
Botanist. Yeah. It's okay. English is not your first language.
And then he does all these different researches and that he really believes the plants, they can smell, they can see, they can actually, they're much more intelligent than we actually think they are,
Yeah.
So, and it's amazing. So it kind of resonates a lot with that documentary because this guy is nowadays looking for this, keys for plant behaviors, because the one thing that's really amazing that he talks about, the plant doesn't have specific organs, specific functions like we do, like a heart and liver, eyes, whatever. The plants, their whole body is their
Their being.
So they feel, they see, with everything,
Everything. Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, okay. So now this conversation, I love where this conversation is going, by the way. This is like this has been like me during the pandemic has been like everything that you're saying right now. So now I have to ask you, are you into crystals?
What is it?
Are you into crystals?
Not so much. I have crystals. I would like to, but I haven't delved that much into it. It's funny because there's like this city in it's a village actually in the center of Brazil, and Alto Paraíso, which is like this national park where they have crystals growing out of like the soil. It's like it's crazy. Walk on crystals, and it's very energetic. People believe that the center of the future world is gonna be, And I have some friends of mine. I have one friend of mine who's really into crystals, and she makes amazing. You would love her jewelry. I mean, she's amazing giant necklaces with this giant pieces of crystals. I have them at my house. Every single plant of mine has a crystal on the vase.
Yeah.
So there's like some energy exchange, but I don't know that much about them.
Okay.
I like.
So now I know what to gift to you. I'm going to send you a book on crystals. It's really because the way that you talk about plants makes me think about crystals, and I'm no one scientist or botanist or crystallologist. I don't even know what you call someone who studies crystals. Crystallologist.
I'm sure that's a name, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but I feel like there's a lot of parallels, like, just kind of like and I'm just learning more about crystals. I don't, know like tons, but, it's like what they say, and I feel this, like when you hold a crystal, you can really kind of feel its energy, because it's just like its whole being kind of lumped into sort of one entity, like kind of the way that you described.
Yeah. So my husband is really into crystals.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he takes the crystals to the sun every day, so energized. Some crystals, they reflect like the rainbow everywhere.
Yes. Oh my God. Okay, we gotta talk.
He watches them, so like, so it's a good combination. Like I take care of the crystals, so
right. I love it. Okay, I'm gonna gift you that book. So yeah, so.
Maybe let me see if I can.
Oh yeah, go for it. Yeah, I know.
He's here. I mean, one of them is here. So two of them here.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh, look at your view. You really do. It's like you have like a baby little forest in your studio.
I do. You see them? You see the parrots?
Wait, no, because like I have. Oh yeah.
You see, there's a little.
Oh yeah, I see one. I don't see.
There's one above the little. Do you see the water thing? The water, the nectar thing with the.
Yeah.
There's one.
Okay.
And actually, he's looking at you. Actually.
Hi, I'm sending you all the love from Harlem.
Another one above.
Oh, you just flew away. Oh, look at you. I mean, I would never leave that studio. I would just be looking outside my window.
You have to come here. You know, this is really close. It's a block away. Remember Kayo's place when you? I think we met here, right?
Yeah, see, we did. Yeah, you guys. So we met. Our friend Rashad Newsom, who I'm sure a lot of you who are watching know, had. Rashad was invited by Kyle. By Kyle, did you? Rashad, I think Rashad was giving a lecture, but he was also.
He did a performance too.
He did a performance too, and he and I we tag team, we DJ together.
Yeah, it was amazing because I mean, it's funny because when was this? How long ago was this?
A while ago. I feel like this is like 5 years ago.
It's funny because the Vogue scene in São Paulo is so strong nowadays, so strong, and it all comes from we call it periferia, which is like the suburbs, I guess, but doesn't have this idea. I mean, the suburb word in English has the idea of like richer people living outside the city center. It's the opposite here. There's really disenfranchised communities who live far away from the city center. And it's such a big thing in São Paulo nowadays. And I remember when Rashad came, I wasn't that familiar with, I think I wasn't even fully here yet.
Yeah, you were just coming back. Yeah.
Yeah. I was in New York back then, I was in New York. And then I remember like, I was really surprised with the scene that Kayo and Rashad was actually, we were connecting with, From that moment onwards, I mean, it's so visible nowadays. It's so strong, so beautiful. But this is a really important thing for me because when I moved to New York, you know who Trajal Harrell is?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A friend of mine. We met through another friend of ours called Karim Ainus. He's like this Brazilian-Algerian filmmaker. And then he used to live in New York City. And I moved to New York in '98. And when I arrived in '98 in New York, I mean, I guess, I don't know why, but I was really fixated in finding the Vogue scene in that moment in New York City. Because this is like a moment that nobody was talking about voguing, I mean, the Madonna and like Malcolm X.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, I mean, does that scene still exist, And then I was talking to Karim about this, and then he said, I think my friend Trajal would be interested in the same thing. Because Trajal is a choreographer, I don't know if people know who he is.
Yeah.
He's used voguing in his dance pieces a lot. And then Karim connected it, and we went on a mission to find the scene, And then somehow we came across this information. There was like a night, Vogue night happening in Harlem, 3rd Avenue and 123rd Street, 123rd, between 123rd and 4th. And it was a walk-up. It was not like, you would not see from the street. It was like a ball happening on the 2nd floor of this one place, and then you would see nothing from the street, So you would walk up and it would start at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday.
Okay.
Amazing. And I remember going there with Fragile. We were like, oh my God. Because, I had seen it from Paris Burning,
Which
zone and all.
doesn't even go, like, it doesn't even give you the full on.
And that was like 10 years later, at least, you know, with a complete different, like, sort of like references, you know, more like hip hop and like Beyonce, whatever, you know. So, and I was like this, I still carry that as a reference, an energy reference for my work to nowadays, you know. And Tragel is the same thing.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's this thing in voguing that you have this energy you keep the energy up at all times.
All
you know?
time. You know, it's so funny, Ellie. That's how I got introduced to your work. So I first learned of your work. This is when I was still working at PS1, and we all decided to go to Deitch Projects. Rest in peace, Deitch Projects.
When I did that installation in Long Island City.
Yes, exactly. And Jeffrey had that space that had just opened. I think your project was like the first project in that space, no?
I think it was something else before, but I don't think it was publicized that much. There was someone else that was there before us.
It was one of the first. Yeah, so we all, like, you know, at PS1, we would be working into like the wee hours and just up to no good at that place. Shout out to PS1. Shout out to the old PS1, I'll say. Yeah, and so we just walked over, came to the space, and it was just like an explosion. Like, you guys, like what you're seeing in the LE studio right now, like imagine that times like 20,000. And it was just like colors, it was lights, it was like rainbows, iridescent. And there were just like, there were people like from like the ballroom scene there. And
because we opened the space for performances. So we did like a Vogue presentation at the opening. We mixed a bunch of people. We mixed the Dazzle dancers, Kenny Sharf. He had like this caveman performance from the 70s or the 80s. I don't know that he did that. So it's the caveman. It was Desi Santiago. You know who he is?
Yeah, Desi. Shout out to Desi.
Shout out to Desi and Viva. Desi and Viva they had a band, which I'm spacing out their name now. So at the opening we had Vogue Ball.
Escándalo. It was called Escándalo.
Escándalo.
Yes.
We had Escándalo. We had Dazzle dancers, Kenny Sharf and Vogue Ball together, dancing and like doing all this crazy shit together. And then after the opening, we actually opened the space to various, you know, performances, including, you know, I think it was House of Extravaganza.
Yeah, it was Extravaganza. It totally was. Well, I mean, you guys in House of Extravaganza, total legendary house. And, you know, sadly, the father of the house passed away a couple of years ago, I think, maybe a year or two ago, Hector. Yeah. Amazing.
No, that's the thing about, you know, I start making my work in New York City, really. I mean, you should make some works. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but I didn't study art. I didn't want to be an artist.
Oh, I did not know that. You wanted to be a botanist.
What?
I said you wanted to be a botanist. That's why.
Oh my God, now there's a hummingbird. If I can.
Let me see. Let's see. Let's have a look at this hummingbird.
Oh, he's there, but he's stopped. I'm not sure. Look, can you see it?
You can see they're really tiny. Like they're.
You see it?
I feel like I see something.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Maybe the audience.
Oh, there's another bird now.
I love it. I love that you just have hummingbird. Oh, okay. I just saw fluttering.
You saw it?
I love that you have just parrots and hummingbirds casually just coming through.
Yeah, I know. It makes my day every day because they come every day. So and I'm here and I see them and they come to bless me and I'm just happy for.
Just receive it. So what's so funny is it's like the rain now. It's like raining right outside of this window. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I take that as some sort of sign. I don't know what the sign is, but I think it's when I think of water and rain, I think of abundance. So I take that as a sign that you're about to pop off in more ways than you've already popped off, Ellie. And your work is just super important. We need to see it. We need your creativity. It fulfills us. And you're not
Thank
going to
you.
have anything to worry about, sir, because everything's going to work out.
No, I'm sure. Yeah. No, that's, I mean, I'm coming out from my cave, you know, my COVID, you know. And I'm very happy to re-meet my friends, my birds, you know,
Yeah.
my plants, my work, you know. You want me to show you around, actually?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So I just have to go around and then
Yeah.
I'll get. I'm gonna have to disconnect you from the speaker.
Okay.
So you see. Okay. So these works that you see here, they will come to New York at one point. It's for a show I was supposed to have in New York in May. So.
Beautiful. Is that, wait a minute, it's almost like a tapestry? No.
Yeah, I mean, I started making tapestries in 2017. I mean, I've been working with this artisan from Peru to make the tapestries. And then I had this idea that I wanted to turn the paintings into tapestries somehow. Because I mean, my tapestries, they dance. I make them rotate. So they become dancing tapestries. And I thought, oh, maybe I should make the paintings dance as well, you know? So I'm getting there. So now they have fringes. You know, the paintings have fringes. I mean, all these fringes are going to be, they're tied up now, but they're going to be down, you know. I just for.
Oh my gosh! And then you have like a big like fan blowing in front of the like paintings, and it just.
Yes. So these are my paints. I do a lot of research. Can you see it? Yeah, nice. A little bit. The paints, I make a lot of research for colors. I create my own Pantone. These are my Pantones.
Wow.
All my color shades that I create.
What?
And it keeps growing.
You have like a scientific brain. I see it.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I like that. So I'm still working on this. I'm actually gonna turn this one into a poodle. Like that. But anyway, this we're gonna do like that.
That's so beautiful.
Larger ones.
You know what? Okay, Ellie, this work, it actually reminds me of album covers.
A what?
Of album covers.
Album covers.
Album covers from like the 60s and the 70s.
I mean, that's where I come from.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean,
it is.
It's beyond. Like you have taken it to the next level. But there's
the pseudonym comes from it. I mean, my pseudonym, the Assumed House of Focus, comes from a show that I went to see at Exit Art, curated by Carlo McCormick from Paper Magazine in 2001, before 9/11 happened. It was early summer, and was when I actually was looking for. I used to work with a pseudonym in Brazil, and then when I moved to New York, I mean, I went in different ways at first. I didn't know what I was going to do. I started working with web. You know, I was a bit lost. But then in 2001, and I got a job at an internet company, and then I got laid off. And I said, okay, I'm gonna look for something else to do. And I just clicked that maybe I should actually concentrate on my artwork. Till that moment, 2001, I did not want to be an artist. I did not want to be called an artist. You know,
wow.
I was like completely against that label. I hated artists. I hated the name. Like I said, oh, it's so snob. You know, like I did not want to be an artist. And then I started dedicating myself to this. And one thing that was very important, even before I started making the work, this new work, let's say, was actually that I wanted to have a pseudonym. Because I didn't want it to be the focus to be on myself. I wanted to be on the work, but also because I wanted to work with friends of mine, and I want everybody to be equally, you know, recognized, you know, under one platform, let's say,
Yeah.
So that's why. I mean, that was very important for me. It's very important for me nowadays still that I'm working much more on an intimate level than before. I don't work with so many people nowadays. I do still. I'm always working with everybody. Always works with other people. That's something else too. And because when I started making paintings, I thought, should I use my name now? And I said, no, it doesn't make any sense. I still have to use the pseudonym because I want the viewer to be part of it as well.
Yeah.
I want the viewer to feel included.
That's such a beautiful.
So,
I love that.
Thank you.
You do it.
I need to say something.
Not like,
This is my wall. And this is very silly, I guess, but.
Oh, I love it. Wait,
this is Grace Jones.
Yeah.
The drawing made of Grace Jones.
Oh my God.
I don't know if you know who Dazzler is. You know who Dazzler is?
No,
I'm not sure if you were ever into Marvel comics.
I am.
And
but yeah.
So I was really into. I am really into the X-Men, and I'm really into Dazzler, which is like this mutant who she turns sound into light. So she's like this disco queen.
I love it.
And then she turns, whenever this music playing, she does like a light show with her powers, And originally, the guy who created Dazzler, his reference was Grace Jones, an African-American woman. Because Dazzler nowadays is like a blonde, haired, woman, But originally, she was supposed to be Grace Jones,
Wow.
So that's why I brought Grace Jones back to her Dazzler persona. So that's what that is. Because she has this thing on her eyes. Dazzler, the character, has like this. She has this makeup over her eye, like this.
That's so beautiful. When did you do that? Is that recent?
What is it?
When did you make that? Is that recent?
Last year.
Oh, last year, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm working on a few sketches. I want to take that further. I haven't had that much chance to do that.
I see that being blown up on somebody's exhibition wall.
I want to make an actual, a Marvel comic.
You should. Ooh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
That's what I want to make.
So, Ellie, before we wrap up, there's one important thing that we must do.
Yeah.
And that's play a drinking game.
What is it? Yes, let's do that.
So it's not complicated. It's, whenever I have friends on, I always ask them, who would you have drinks with, living or not living?
Amazing.
Definitely both, but both if no one comes to mind.
Let me just grab my drink.
Yes.
Before I answer that. It's very easy because Grace Jones is definitely somebody I would love to have a drink.
Yes.
I think I'll probably go to the hospital afterwards.
You would. You have to have your stomach pumped, child. She would be like.
She's wild. Have you seen her documentary?
I haven't seen it. No.
Oh my God, you have to see it. It's amazing. She's very real too, which is really nice.
Yeah.
She goes to Jamaica. She meets her family. She hangs out with them. She's so real. But she's crazy. She's crazy. She's really amazing. I love her. I've seen her live once in 2008. Between 2008 and 2010, I lived in Berlin. I got sick of New York City and I left and I went to Berlin, that's why I think we missed each other back then. It was right after, I moved to Berlin right after the Dice Project's exhibition.
Yep.
In 2008.
Yeah, so I saw your work and I'm like, where is this guy? Where did he go?
I left, and I only went back in 2010. That's what happened. That's why we never met.
That makes sense.
That was my farewell to New York City.
That was a big farewell. Wait, so you would obviously have drinks with Grace.
Grace, I would definitely love to have drinks with her. I think she would knock me out.
Yeah.
Because but I adore her so much. I've followed her through so many different phases, and I was actually able to see her in Berlin playing live in 2009. Whenever she released that album, she went through was like this comeback, and it was so gorgeous, so beautiful. And she had this helmet, this mirror helmet. Have you seen her play?
Yeah. I know which comeback you're talking about. Yeah, I've never seen her perform live ever.
No. So she had this thing. She had this mirror helmet on with lasers would beam onto this hat and would like ricochet everywhere. It was like Dazzler, you know, it's Dazzler, like total Dazzler. And that one's is harder because I think I'd like to meet a lot of people.
I know, yeah.
But one of them, in paying tribute to the Vogue reference, which is so strong for me, I would like to have drinks with Willie Ninja. And then, because I mean, I saw him once in New York at a club, like, you know, voguing, but it was not, I mean, he was just like, it was not performing or whatever. It was not inside his scene. It was some night in some club downtown, you know. I would like to see him in his, you know, in that environment, you know, in that context, in his original context, you know. So yeah, because I love, I mean, the reference that I have, that whole Paris burning, the whole scene is seeing Paris burning. You know, I would like to have seen that before the movie.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. Yeah.
But it was amazing to that. I mean, it also gave them a lot of power, I guess, even if it didn't last that much.
Yeah.
You know.
It showed a certain level of awareness, right? And now
exactly.
that awareness is has been revisited, like kind of in different time periods, and I just feel, I mean, it feels like there's more agency within the community, you know, telling the community is telling its own story in a sense, and I hope there's some staying power with that.
And also, I think also like nowadays people always perform for a camera, perform to be recorded, you know, to perform to be, you know, streamed somewhere, you know.
Yeah.
And at that moment, that was not part of anybody's concern. You're performing for the moment, for that one moment that you share with people who were there with you. And that's what I mean before the movie too, because, you know, it's more, I don't know, sincere, I guess, more. I mean, it's amazing that it's actually people got to know it around the world. Don't get me wrong. I don't have any problem with that.
Yeah, no.
It's just like the energy, the type of energy, you know, that
totally
more intimate, more for your friends, I guess.
Right. So wait. So you said Grace, and then you said Willie Ninja.
Yes.
I feel like those two. You gotta combine that drink section. It has to be.
I mean, I could see. I mean, it's funny because I could also think of like, I would like to have drinks at certain places too. You know.
Yeah.
I would like to have had drinks at Paradise Garage. You know, with Larry Levan.
Yes.
Playing, you know?
Now that was gonna be my no longer with us pick was gonna be Larry Levan. Because I want to know just everything about Paradise Garage. I want to know everything about his just catalog of music and his knowledge, and I would just like want to literally like get up into his like brain cells.
Exactly.
Then,
so I feel the same because I mean I experienced that.
Did you go to Paradise?
No. That scene. I mean, what?
I was gonna say, did you go to Paradise Garage?
No, it wasn't around. It wasn't around when I moved to New York. No. But I mean, I would like to have been in Chicago, you know, to experience the house, the birth of house and acid house. You know, I would like to have been there, to have drinks there with Honey Dijon. You know Honey Dijon? Honey Dijon is a collaborator. We worked together many times, you know, and she comes from that scene as well. She's younger, but she came from that scene, the Frankie Knuckles scene, you know. So that's something that I would like to have had drinks there as well and dance my ass off. I mean, I would. That's because I mean I experienced that in Brazil a bit later. You know, in 88. 89, more or less. That's when that information came to me. And
Okay.
there was a club, a very small club in Rio, near my mother's house, actually.
That's
Uh,
convenient.
super small. It's like half the size of the studio. I mean, my studio is not that big. It was
Hmm.
like this,
It
really
sounds like
tiny.
it was very
Uh,
sweaty.
and there was like this DJ that played just house music, Chicago house and like acid house. It's like amazing.
Amazing.
You know, that was like a big change in my life too, because up to that point, I was in another type of queer club scene, which more like goth, more British sort of reference, you know, Smiths and this kind of stuff, you
Yeah.
know. A bit of Pet Shop Boys too, you know, like that sort of environment, you know.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I was exposed, when I was exposed to house music, that I was like, oh my, like I'm gonna
Crazy.
dance forever,
I
you
feel like house
know.
music, I feel like house music, you feel like you're being possessed.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like literally, like you're just, you can't, like it's so funny. I remember, you know SOBs in New York. Do you know that?
FODs?
No, no,
Yeah, I
SOBs.
remember that. Huh?
SOBs, which actually stands for Sounds of Brazil.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I've never been.
What?
No, I've never
Well,
been.
well, it's fine. I mean, it had a moment. I mean, not no shade SOBs, but
But
like,
when I moved to New York, Body and Soul was happening. And I
ooh,
used to go to Body and Soul. And
okay.
that was,
So you had that whole moment.
I
Well,
had that moment.
the reason why
Yeah.
I bring up SOBs is because I remember going there. There were these parties called Jumpin' Funk, where this DJ who's still very active and amazing,
Uh-huh.
Rich Medina would do
Uh-huh.
parties where he would play. It was like,
I remember that name. I
yeah, I'm
remember him.
sure.
Yeah, yeah.
It was mainly Afrobeat and he would kind of mix in house music. But the
I
reason
think I
why,
went to SOBs. I remember that name. I don't remember
yeah,
any.
you
No,
probably,
I guess.
I'm sure you went. You probably just don't even remember. But
Yeah, yeah.
the reason why I even bring it up is because just the thought of possession, I just remember being at that party and literally feeling like I could not stop dancing. Even like
It's
my body was like, girl, you need to stop. You need to stop to
paradise.
end up in a wheelchair. But I could not stop. I literally felt like there were like spirits in my body, like dance, dance. I just could not.
I share that with you. I mean, I've used that. I mean, I think you missed the opening for the Daesh
Uh-huh,
project,
uh-huh.
and before that, even we used the party as this ritualistic, performatic uh, energy builder in our installations. You know,
Yeah.
and because I truly believe that those are spaces of freedom. You know, equality. You know, and so we try to bring that into an art space, which there's a lot of trouble in doing that. People have
Yeah,
no
well,
idea. There's so many, you know, arguments, so many, like, there's so many back and forth, trying to convince people to do it. You know, people don't understand it, you know, whatever. We did it many times. It was amazing, you know.
yes.
And so that is such an important type of energy for me as well, that you find in those moments when you go to a club and you're listening to music that you can't stop dancing. You just want to go for it, you know,
Right.
and not even like music that you know, like you just
No.
like go with it. It's like this energy that the DJ is like spreading to you, and people around you are into it, and you just go with everybody. This is like this paradise for
Yeah,
me. This is
it is.
paradise.
Well, I think that's a beautiful note to end on. And I love you. I love you so much, Ellie. You're such a
I
beautiful
love you too.
soul. And,
So happy we did this. Thank you.